All right, guys, so let's talk about the deposit. We already talked about the letter of intent. We already talked about the purchase and sales agreement. Now we're on the contract. Now it's time for us to write the check for a deposit. Usually 1 to 2% of the sales price of the property. By the way, in Louisiana, you don't have to. It's not legally binding that you have to give a deposit, but it's customary. So expect to write a check for a deposit. All right. Two differences. There's an earnest money deposit and there is regular deposit. Earnest money deposit limits what could happen if anybody breaches the contract. So if I'm the buyer and I give you $10,000 deposit and I breach the contract and then I forfeit the $10,000, you as the seller get to keep that $10,000. I can move on and find a different property. If you, the seller, breach the contract, then you have to give me my $10,000 deposit back, and then you also have to give me equal amount of another $10,000 for breaching contract. But that's it. Nobody has to sue anybody else. The deal is done. We walk away. Here in Louisiana, we normally use regular deposits, particularly in residential. And what happens is, in the Louisiana residential purchase agreement, there's a clause that actually says that if you breach contract, you could be opened up for litigation under specific performance. So it's a little bit extra. So if you breach contract, either party can go after the other for specific performance, and it's a little bit more involved. So in commercial, we don't really do it that way. We still use earnest money deposit. There's a lot of buyers that come out of different states that do business in Louisiana, and so that's. But not necessarily, of course, right? Every deal is different, so you got to pay attention. The point here is to understand that if you see a purchase and sales agreement that says earnest money deposit, that's usually okay. Look, we breach contract, something happened, I lose my deposit, that's it. But if it just says regular deposit, you better look in that purchase and sales agreement to make sure that there's no other clause that stipulates what's going to happen if you breach contract, because you can actually be sued for specific performance. So anyway, so that's how deposits are treated